Good afternoon, at least for me. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is that I only decided, or better yet, I decided to only do this video after the funeral ceremonies of the late Pope had been done. Why? Because I respected him. I am first going to introduce my, let's call, interaction with the church. I was raised Catholic, Catholic light, I would say, but I was raised Catholic. I went to Sunday school. I was in the church. I uh, played, played in the church in mass. I was an altar boy. I was in the Scouts that here in Portugal they are also Catholic, so the Catholic Scouts, if you want to call them. I never was arrested by anyone. I never knew of anyone that was arrested by anyone. And so you can say that I belong to the majority of people that had no issues with the Catholic Church. Now, first thing, are there cases of pedophile and other types of offenses in the Catholic Church? Yes, they have happened. But so it has happened with a lot of preachers and churches in the United States, with Muslim clerics, with Jewish clerics, with Buddhist clerics, with absolutely every bloody religion in this world. Because the ones that do it, they are people, in my opinion, monsters that should not be allowed to interact with others. They should be shut in an island and left there to rot. This is my position because it will never change. A predator is always a predator. But the Catholic Church provides support, provides food, provides protection to millions of people all across the world. You don't agree with some things of the Catholic Church, my friend. You're right. You're right in not agreeing with some things. I don't agree with some things either. But first of all, I would like to start by saying this. You cannot make an assumption from a couple of facts. And I am not defending absolutely no one. Any predators, whoever they are, priests, people in the church, even if it was a pope, I would say they all deserve the same treatment that I told you before, to be sent to an island, isolated, and never to be able to live in society again. Because whoever does that, rapists, pedophiles, abusers, if they cannot live in society, then they don't deserve to live in society. And you can rehabilitate a murderer. You can rehabilitate a thief. You can rehabilitate even a man or a woman that abuses their spouse. You can rehabilitate all of those people, but you cannot rehabilitate a pedophile and a rapist. Sorry. No, you cannot. You can control them. That's another story. But you cannot, they will always be the way they are. And they don't deserve mercy. And I don't care what you think, but this is my opinion. Now, the majority of people in the church are good people. Maybe some are a bit zealot, but they are not bad people. There are people, maybe some of them are not true Christians. Yes, no. Yes, you're absolutely right. And I agree with you. But I was raised by a man, my father, that he did not teach me. to be a Catholic or to be, because as I told you, I follow two religions. Catholicism, I have no issues with it. I have no issues in going to the church. I have no issues with anything about it. And pagan. My dad, of course, knew this. But my father, he was the type of man that, I don't know, someone asked him for help and he would do it. And he was not expecting to receive anything in return. I remember my father being in financial difficulties and helping other people. He used to say, if we can help, we help. If we have a bit more issues, then we will have them. But he never denied help to anyone. Anyone from his family, any friend, even any persons from our town, hometown. He used to give, make, and offer bread and allow people make bread and cakes and all of that stuff we did in our bakeries and offer them to any kind of festivity that would help the town, like the religious and secular festivities in my hometown, free. He would make them, and offer them to the town. When a new mortuary house, that is a public building, was needed in my hometown, my father was one of the first persons to help to build it. When it was needed to have funds and influence to build a new school, my father was in it. We used to take bread and cakes and whatever to different parts of the country in South Portugal. And whenever anyone needed a lift and could not afford to pay for the train or whatever, someone that was in difficulties, my father, he would give them a lift. Yes, that is what my father was. And my father always told me this: before you criticize anyone, put yourself in their shoes. And he told me also another thing that I never forgot: a Christian does not talk, he acts. Talk is cheap. Jesus spoke a lot, but when he acted, you listen to him. And it's what is here in question is not believing the dogma and the system of the church. What is in question here is the practical result of a church when it is subjected to the rule of law. So, if you are simply going to criticize the Catholic Church and quote me medieval myths of demon worship, of secret treasures hidden beneath Rome and whatever that crap, shut up. Any Catholic knows what is what is the what is in the Vatican. I myself saw pictures of it. I myself could have gone there to see the libraries, to see the museums, to see all of that. Only you need a proper authorization, just like in any other such place. And those books about the secrets and whatever, bullshit. There is no mystery here. There is no hidden agenda, nothing. There are a couple of zealots, yes, of course there are. There are zealots everywhere. There are zealots in politics, sorry. There are zealots in other religions. There are zealots everywhere. But what you have to understand is that you cannot deny the influence, power of an institution to do good things in the world. The Pope that now died, he housed refugees. Many of them were not Christians, but still he gave them a place. For example, he negotiated, and when I say negotiated, it means he spoke with, because this is the correct, he did not give an order, he spoke with the Portuguese church, and we received, I think it was around 300 Syrian refugees, most of them Christians, but also the Kurds that saved them from being killed by the idiots. Because those Kurds, they were neighbors of those Christians. Those Kurds, they married with those Christians. Those Christians married with those Kurds. They had a system in which the groom, for example, if the groom was Christian, the children would be raised Christian. If the groom was Muslim, the children would be raised Muslim. They had their own customs. And if you don't know this, the way Kurds treat women is quite different from the way other Muslims treat women. Most women, Kurds, they don't cover themselves. They don't use the hijab. But that is pointless. What I'm trying to tell you here is that he helped them, and he helped many others, and he influenced politicians to protect people, to practice the Christianity that many people talk about, and that is the base of the ethical. It's the ethos. It's the ethical, whether we like it or not. And I am part pagan also. I also follow a lot of paganism, as I told you. Have no shame about it, no shame at all. And if you ask me, oh, you must be very conflicted. No, I'm not. And if you were like me, you would know you could not be conflicted because it's two different worlds, but that exist. Because what Christianity is basically an ethical system, and it's very simple. Do unto others as you would want to do be done unto you. God wants sons and daughters. He does not want slaves. Religion is not a business. See, this is one part where the church has failed in many aspects. But here you go. And when people grab a Bible and try to, I don't know, call it the absolute truth, just like if they grab any other religious text and say this is the absolute truth, I tell you, you are mad. The Bible is a set of history, of stories intended to teach you something, just like Jesus did when he was preaching in his time. That there was no Noah's Ark. And you are looking at a Christian, and I'm telling you this bluntly on your face. At least not that Noah's Ark. That myth of the salvation of the chosen ones. That is a myth the Jews picked up when they were in Babylon. It's a very common myth all over the Middle East. Now, does that invalid the message that is intended to give to you? That sometimes you have to go through sacrifice and sacrifice yourself for others, for nature, in order to be a good person, let's call it like this? No. Does the murder of Cain and Abel, of Abel, Does that not teach you a lesson? Yes. But did these people exist? There was perhaps a Cain and an Abel in some long past. But if there was only Adam and Eve, then how do they breed? Incest? You have to see things as they are. And people taking this and look, and what I am telling you now, what I am telling you now, I was taught, I was taught this in Sunday school. The priest picked up the Bible and he explained us the normal things, the dogma of the religion, the principles, the Ten Commandments, all of that. But he made us understand that these words, these histories, they were only mechanisms, you understand, tools to allow you to understand something. And if you don't know this, the best way for a normal human being, a normal person, to understand a complex, a complex idea, a complex concept, is to tell him a story. You have seen that I do that often. When, for example, I'm explaining what a tariff is, what economics is, all of those things. You have seen that I do it often. And the reason why I do it is precisely because of that. Because it's easier to understand. People keep talking about Jesus would do this, Jesus would do that. And when two of you gather in my name, I will be amongst you. When you remember my words, I will be alive to you. And then you can talk about, did Jesus resurrect from the dead? I believe so. I believe it was an event that was branded, let's call it, I don't know the precise word, in a collective memory, and it happened. But you, even being a Christian, you can doubt it. And what that the what the and we are in still in Easter, and what does this teach us? The life of Christ teaches us many lessons, and they are all lessons of a moral compass. And like that priest also told me, what a true Christian, and what my father told me, he told me the same thing. Remember, a true Christian does not talk; he acts. Meaning, if you see someone, I'll give you an example. Just today, in the morning, I was at the supermarket buying some stuff, and there were some foreigners there. I think they were Brazilian or South American or something like that, a couple. And they were looking at the vitamin supplements that I also take, and I buy them there because it's absolutely the same. It's a multi vitamin supplement, and it helps me. When I take those vitamins, I feel better. You know, and they complement whatever you don't consume in your daily food. And they were unable to see. They were looking at it and looking for the multivitamins. And I just picked up my multivitamin and I told them, look, if you're looking for the multivitamins, here you go. It's this one. They say thank you. Okay. This is a small example. If they had not said thank you or whatever, I would not care. But they did. They were polite. But my action of doing that is simple. They were seeking for an information that I knew. So I gave it to them. Why? This is what it means to be a Christian, to help others, to be able to function in society. Because a society where there is some kind of interaction between people, and I'm not one of those sappy guys that all sanctimonious and oh my God, and not my thing, not my thing. And I don't like to watch sappy ideas. This is why those Americans that will make GoFund help some older person or whatever, whoever, to get an operation. They think, oh, what an uplifting story. But for me, it's an embarrassment that a society is not able to provide that to a person. And it's not just an embarrassment to them. This is the difference. The the universally idea of Christianity. It's a shame for us all. It's a shame for us what is happening in Ukraine. It's a shame for us what is happening in Gaza. It's a shame for us what is happening in the US right now. This is what needs to be questioned. Those people in the US that claim to be very Christian, to be very holy, just because, I don't know, maybe they go to church and they pray and they say hallelujah and they are against abortion and whatever, and against women's rights and against gay and trans rights and whatever. They think they are very religious. In my book, you are demons. You are all zealots, even if you follow each and every precept of your religion, you are demons. Demons in the sense that evil is in man's heart. And even if you don't believe any of these abstract concepts, you understand the meaning of the story. People that grab a Bible and think this was an historical event, people that try to justify and say, we discovered the tomb of this character, we discovered where this character came from. I'm sorry to tell you this, but you are idiots. Because if the Bible is a set of histories that were inspired in actual events, in things that the people of those days could relate to, well, of course, you are going to find some parallelisms. The Hebrews, they were one of those many wandering tribes that existed in that area and that conquered and settled themselves. And then they perhaps wrote the names of their kings. But if you believe that Adam lived, I don't know how many thousands of years, in Methuselah and whatever, you're idiots. That is all stupidity. Sorry, the cat. No, sorry for this. My my cat. The house is hers. Now, what I am trying to tell you with this is that all of this, all of these people that grab the Bible and say was an absolute truth, this was an absolute truth, they know nothing about what they're talking about. They should teach people. Look, this is an example. You cannot believe that a guy built a wooden boat and put one of each and animal species in the boat and saved them all. Don't teach people that, and don't you be stupid like that. If you pray, you pray. Nothing wrong with it. If you want to meditate or call it whatever you want, call it. But to believe in absolute truth in a book that was created to give examples, I can't understand that. And I also cannot understand this fascination with the Jewish Bible. It has nothing to do with us. Nothing. I don't identify with any of the characters in that. To me, they're just a prologue to teach me where Christ came from, where was he born. There are even doubts that Christ was even a Jew. He might have been one of those many thousands of I I hesitate in saying this word, but half breeds. People that were part Jew, part Greek, part Roman, part Babylonian, whatever, because people got around, you know, and all of these dogmas, they do not prevent you from following the ethical base of the religion. And all of this also does not stop you from not liking the organized rituals or whatever of the church. I don't like them either. When I go to a church, I like to go sit and pray or meditate or whatever. You know, does that make me a bad person, a heathen? Well, I told you I was also raised pagan, and I am part. I am. I believe in a lot of the moral principles of paganism. You can see it the way I speak, the way I act. But the Pope that just died, Francisco, he was a great man. Was he perfect? No. And he would be the first person to tell you that he was not perfect. Go guess. But let me tell you a bit about him. He was born in Argentina. His family was not very poor, was not very rich. I would say middle class, perhaps. He was the son of Italian immigrants. So when I hear people saying the brown pope has died, brown, okay, everybody in South America is black, right? And only in the United States of America and maybe Canada you are white. Well, maybe I'm brown too. Who knows? I'm Portuguese German, so what the hell am I? Now, so my cat again. So this man that was born in this background, he became a priest, and later he went up the chain in the church. He was a Franciscan, which means from Saint Francis of Assisi, which is a verdant, a monarchical order in the church that follows a life of simplicity, of not caring. Again, the cat. Again, for not caring for possessions, for not caring for property, for not caring for wealth, for power, whatever. They also have a deep connection with nature, in protecting nature, in considering nature, and now I'm speaking about the way you must see Francisco. Uh, they consider nature not to be something to be consumed, but to be a part of the religion itself. Some of these people, and I know a person my age that is still a monk in this order. These people, some of them are even vegetarian. Their purpose in life is to pray and to help others. Nothing more. And there is nothing wrong with that. Everyone needs a purpose in life. And so this was Francis. Francis spent most of his life helping the poor people in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, if I'm not mistaken, working with them, helping them, teaching them. He caught tuberculosis. He was he always had problems and issues with his lungs. So this is the man that then became Pope, a bit reluctantly, but he became a Pope. A man that did not live in the so-called papal apartment, that was living in modest quarters. A man that was modest in his speech, that was modest in his food, and that what he ate, what he drank. A man that was always a simple man, that believed in the sobriety of life, of not eating too much, not drinking too much, of always remembering the vows of the Franciscan monk, of simplicity, of sobriety, of obedience, obedience to life, protection of others, of nature. He was a pope that said to the priests that anyone can enter in the church, trans, gay, black, white, yellow, polka dot, pink, pink. Anyone that entered in the church to pray, to be respectful, all a priest would say is welcomed. Because the church, in his words, these are his words, church was for all. And he was one of the only figures that always talked about what was happening in Gaza. And remember, there are Christians in Gaza, not that many. There are more Muslims, but he spoke for them all. He did not stop speaking about Ukraine. He did not stop speaking for anyone. He gave a voice to all, and his voice was listened to. And now, I saw this man in, there were two occasions when I saw the Pope, saw the TV, okay? TV online. There were two instances where he truly showed his character. One was when he went to Georgia and then he attended the Mass, where a Georgian priest, I think they are Orthodox or Coptic. Coptic, I think. I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone. I do not mean to do this, but I am a bit distracted in those things. To me, a Christian is a Christian. Okay. Uh, and when the priest was singing, he was praying, and then there was a girl singing with him too in a choir, and you looked at his face, and it was like looking at a mirror of serenity. This was one of the occasions where I saw the man and I think something there. And the other was him, now in his latter years, when he began to get a bit sicker, but in a room filled with children, no, teenagers, some of them gay, trans, non-biased. He was talking with them all. And he was explaining them basically, and I will, if you want to, Google it. Go use your search engine. Go on YouTube. I think it's available on YouTube and see it. And what he basically said is that my damn allergies. What he basically said is that the church should not judge. And he looked at this girl turning girl to boy, trans trans guy. Well, it was a girl that was clearly transitioning to a man, to a boy. And he told him, look, all the church, the duty of the church is to love, is to hold. So this man in his life, and then people say, oh, but he did not approve the marriage of women, he did not approve this and that. The Pope, the Pope, the Catholic Church, is not a dictator. The Pope needs to gather the cardinals, the, the high ranking people of the church, and then it's like any other parliament. To approve something, there has to be a discussion about it. And it's not, and it was not in his nature or the nature of any Christian to blindly impose this to other people because the church learned their lessons. So he proposed it, but it was not approved. He got other concessions, like this part of the trans people, of the divorced people, for example, a lot of things. When he, for example, said that to be a baptismal godfather or godmother, to be a godfather or godmother, you only had to be baptized, nothing more. To stop this idea that a divorcee could not do it or could not do this or do that or whatever. He removed a lot of the medieval traditions that still exist, but he could not do them all. If you ask me, do you think that women should all be able to be priests in the Catholic Church? I would say yes. Why not? Should the priests be able to get married? Why not? Should the priest be able to be gay? Why not? But this is me, the not very usual person. But this was who Francis was. This person. And now, why am I making this video? Because of this. Just hours I'm reading. I will not show the piece because this was in more than one piece, but I will read this one. Just hours after the death of Pope Francis, Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia posted on X, formerly Twitter, this. Today there were major shifts in global leaderships. Evil is being defeated by the hand of God. I could call this lady a lot of names. I could mock her ugliness, both inside and the outside. I could do that. But the only thing I will tell you is this. Who, who is the evil one here? A pope? Why? Are we still living in the medieval world of the battles between Protestants and Catholics and all of that crap? That was a big amount of nothing, of death, of destruction because of power struggles. You even have an English king that created a religion so he could get another wife and divorce her and kill her and divorce her and kill her. You have a bunch of zealots that believed in living according to the Bible, whatever that is. To me, it's madness. Because, like I told you, I began by explaining to you what the Bible was. Okay? And I know there are a lot of people, and they won't listen. People like this lady, they will say that I'm a demon or whatever, or I'm speaking the tongue of the devil because I'm speaking the truth. Evil is inside you. And I was just the only physical reaction that I had to this was to be this one, and she was not the only one, okay? But this was the first one that I saw, was disgust. Because these are petty, little, ignorant people that don't deserve even to be in the same news piece like this one I'm here than the Pope. And again, the Pope was not a perfect person, and he himself would have told you that. But remember this: he did not want to be embalmed. He did not want it a big burial site. He wanted a simple wood casket, like any other person. Because until the very day he died, he remembered his vows of sobriety, of poverty, of being a simple person. And a man that gives such an example is a man. And a woman that says what this lady said, she's not worthy to be called a woman. A mother, a wife, maybe, if she's that. I don't know, if she's straight or gay or whatever she is. Grandmother, a daughter, not worthy. Not worthy of any of it. So, all I ask you is that do not consider this video as an kind of a support Pope video or whatever, or supporting the Catholic Church or supporting whatever. I'm not supporting anyone. I'm just saying the truth, speaking the truth about who the man was, and he was not what these people are talking about. And if before all of this I had a deeply I usually don't have emotions to these people. Honestly, no, I don't have. I don't even have Schadenfreude. I don't have. I don't. I deny myself to have these emotions. Okay, when these emotions come up, I push them down because it's illogical. It's not worth anything. But if before I had no consideration by these for these people, after this, and I'm talking also, of course, of Mrs. or Miss. I don't know if she's married. Marjorie Taylor Greene. If before this I consider I don't know. I don't know how to put it. A useless tool. After this, I have zero consideration for her and for anyone that said this. Because when a person dies, and that person was a good person, you can say, well, the church did a lot of crap, but he was a good man, and he deserves our respect. Rest in peace. This is how a normal person would act. not like this. So to anyone that was rejoicing in the death of a man, you are worthless. Good evening, or good afternoon, or good day. Bye.